Well, the Albanese government is now moving to provide a path to residency for the Palestinian people who are coming here on temporary visas.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that needs a far greater discussion and scrutiny, because we know from the polling that's done that a significant portion of that population, it's a majority sadly, support the October 7 attacks.
Absolutely.
So when you're bringing people in, and I'm not doubting that they're obviously in crisis, there's a war underway, but what sort of Australians are they going to be? Do they share our values? Do they condemn Hamas's barbarity? Because we know from the polling that's been done last year and again this year that that is not the case.
And why, Rita, is it on Australia and the United States and Canada and countries like that to take refugees from Palestine? Why aren't the Arab nations doing
the Saudis?
this? You know, and how do we know? How do we know? We all saw the footage of Gaza residents coming out, cheering, beating prisoners, hostages with sticks, cheering the day, celebrating. And how do we know that they're not among those who are coming out here? The background checks are virtually non-existent. I mean, I know as somebody who migrated to this country, they do a pretty serious background check when you come from the U.S., but there's law enforcement authorities and other agencies they can check with to make sure you're of good character. Some people out there might say they should have kicked me out, but that's another story.
Some of these approvals are reportedly made within an hour. Like within an hour.
With what authority?
With the authority that runs the Gaza Strip or those areas. I mean,
it's a joke.
But I've got great news, reassuring, terrific news that we can all settle down and take it easy. Fortunately, we have a new immigration minister, Tony Burke. So no doubt he will be scrupulous. Absolutely scrupulous. Tony Burke will be there in ensuring that only the very finest, most upstanding individuals arrive in this country. Tony Burke was here on Sky earlier chatting away. He's now got 7 or 8, 9, 10 portfolios. How many portfolios has he got?
Well, he's got immigration and home affairs, but you know, this is the thing we've got to remember about Tony Burke. You know, Tony Burke's seat is in Western Sydney. It is heavily Lebanese. It is heavily Muslim. We've seen this move to push the goalposts forward on these Palestinian refugees when they were saying, oh, no, this will never happen. Well, now it's happening. We see where this is going, and this is about appeasing these Western Sydney seats that they're desperate to shore up because Peter Dutton has decided, let's remember, that the fight is not going to be won at the next election by going after these teal seats in the eastern suburbs and the Wentworths and all of that. It's going to be about fighting in those battleground Western Sydney seats. This is the most cynical play with our national security for an election I've ever seen.
There you go.
It really is. And there are plenty of people who are migrants to this country. This is not a anti-migrant stance.
No.
There's plenty of people who are migrants here who would be looking at this and be troubled by the detail, because just the polling that we have seen, even in the West Bank, over 70% supporting the October 7 attacks. And we know...
Well, in Germany, for example, Rita, in Germany now, to migrate into Germany, you now go through a very lengthy questionnaire about your views or opinions regarding Israel, regarding Jews, regarding so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, of course, people can lie in these things, but they have made that an absolutely determining factor in migrating into Germany. We need a similar thing here. I'm not sure Tony Burke's really the right person to be in charge of that. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, Tony Burke. Bring in some really strict, strident regulations to ensure that the sort of people we played on this show last week, individuals there in Gaza, individuals there in the West Bank who were saying, yeah, we support October 7th, yeah, we're all for that. Are those individuals coming in or not? That's what we need to know.
On a broader border protection issue, was Tony Burke over the years against boat turnbacks?
I wouldn't go down the history of his immigration.
No, I think we do need to go down the history, because if you are going to select someone to come in and fix the mess that the previous minister made, then you can't pick a carbon copy of that previous minister who was a failure.
I think I'm rushing into Officeworks to get laminated Tony Burke's references from the Rudd years when he was immigration minister. I mean, what a shocker that was, as has been pointed out, and as he's strenuously denying.